today we're going to focus on that one talent that you've had for how long? When's the first time you started drawing?
Dude,
How old were you? What year was that?
From when I can remember, I was probably like 3 or 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mom would always say, you was better than most of the kids in the class because you had the eyeballs and the mouth in the right spot. You know, as little kids, you kind of just scribble stuff. I guess mine was proper balanced. I don't know, but
it was already in proportion.
Yeah, I remember drawing a Godzilla scene. Like, I drew the whole scene of Godzilla fighting Mothra and Rodan, that 3-headed monster.
Okay.
And my babysitter put it on her refrigerator.
Okay.
She was like, oh my God.
Your first fan.
My first fan. And I was so geeked up. But yeah, man, the first memory was probably about 3 or 4 when I drew that picture.
Fight injustice. In the great hall, to fight injustice.
This is DTM sitting out here at Cinemaker Studios. We're having a good time today. We're going to have a lot of fun watching somebody who's awesome with his talent, awesome with his skills, draw a cover, a design, a comic book cover from beginning to end. And my name is DTM. Find me anywhere on the internet, Delta Tango Mike. Make sure you check me out because you're gonna see a lot of me talking. I'm gonna be the one trying to make sure that we have something to say. How about that? All right. So without further ado, I would like to go ahead and introduce our amazing artist who's gonna draw today for us. Tell us your name, where you're from, sir.
My name's Wayman Humphrey, and I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
All right.
Go Steelers.
Go Steelers. And that's why you got that sweatshirt, Go Steelers.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. All right. Wasn't an accident.
Nah.
It was on purpose.
This was planned.
This was
planned.
Tell us a little bit about you. What kind of art do you do? What kind of stuff you like to draw?
Currently, I am a tattoo artist. As you know, I interned with you, and after SCAD, I worked on a few things. I've always loved cartoons. I always wanted to know, like, how those things moved on a TV. And just ever since then, man, you know, cartoons, comics, anything traditionally drawn, I was drawn to.
Okay.
You see what I did there?
It was drawn into.
Yeah. And you know, as a young dude, I just kept drawing and kept drawing. Art kind of went on a back burner as I got married and had kids and stuff like that, but it was still just always in me. Fast forward, you know, to like 2014 or 2016, I went to SCAD, graduated as an animator, worked on a few films, but still just didn't feel like it fit for me and what I wanted to do. So started interning with you, man, and just really started focusing on what that meant for me as an artist and what I wanted to do. It took me a minute. I think I interned with you for a couple years. I mean, I still run with you anyway, you know what I'm saying? But once I found my tribe, you know what I'm saying, I kind of ran with it. And that's kind of where I'm at now, man. I'll do illustrations and some contract work, but I just love doing tattoos, man. I know that's not what we here for, but...
But that's one of your main focuses.
Yeah.
Tattoos. So let's talk a little bit about that story, though. Because Facebook reminded me of that picture we took at the library.
At the library.
But have we met before that?
We
then?
did. At the coffee shop off of 78.
That's when we first had a meeting.
I went and got a tattoo from Corey.
Okay.
And I seen your artwork on the wall at that tattoo shop. I think it was like Monster Tattoo or something. And I was like, yo, who did that? And he was like, yeah, that's my boy DTM. You need to meet him. And then after that, we met. And we really didn't, like, work together per se once we met at the coffee shop, but we talked for about 2 or 3 hours in that coffee shop. And he was just like, where you want to go, what you want to do with your art.
And that's when we established that you were going to do the blue pencil drawings.
Yeah, because I had been doing them, but you was like, make that the hook. And that's been the hook.
And then you and then you went to SCAD. And then somewhere in there, that's after SCAD is when we got back together and started talking again.
Nah, before SCAD, because that picture is before SCAD.
Well, that's at the library.
Yeah. So once I went to SCAD, I went for animation because like the military paid for school, and they want you to, once you graduate, get a job that makes money. I wish I'd have went for something different, but I done it and graduated, but like I said, it just wasn't.
It was still a good experience.
Yeah,
it was something that any artist, especially since it's paid for.
Right.
It's an opportunity to get a different look on the art life, and I think that some people benefit from having a place to go to where all the information is already centered. Like a lot of learning and resources are there,
where you don't have to like research your own YouTubes and stuff like that.
Yep.
Because you can, if you're not focused, you can lose focus and not stay on that path of being an artist.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You kind of start dabbling around and whatever, but at school it's structured. You got like assignments and all that stuff you got to do to progress to graduation.
So at first you wanted to do a lot of drawing, animation, and sculpting. Is that what you ended up learning?
I ended up doing, so when I started, it was like, I was like, I want to be a 2D animator for Disney or whoever. Quickly learned that 2D animation is not a thing as much as it used to be. And I just did not gravitate well to 3D animation. It's just a lot of work that I didn't want to do, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? So one of the professors there seen that my blue drawings, and he was like, you need to look into this program, which was ZBrush. And I became the president of my ZBrush club at SCAD, and that's how I landed a couple jobs in the industry. But again, I just did not feel like that was my calling. And as I got older, you know what I'm saying, I want to do something that I love to do. And if I don't get paid, I still want to do it. You know what I'm saying? So working in the industry just was not it for me. So
even if you got paid, you had to find that one thing that you're really passionate about that gives you that drive to show up every day.
Every day, if I don't get paid or not. Like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
I like it. So we come together, you and I, we spend a couple years together. We are working on different art mediums, different art careers, exploring the art careers, figuring things out. And then one day you asked me that, you tell me that you want to go ahead and learn to do tattoos. You want to be a tattoo artist. So tell me a little bit about what was it that drew you into tattoos that brings that passion out for you?
The bottom line is that I get to draw on people. You know what I'm saying? and it's going to be there forever. Like, if that's not a legacy of a sort, you know what I'm saying? Like, from here on out, once I die, there's still somebody out there with a piece of my art on their body forever.
That is kind of cool, though, huh?
Yeah, it is. It's really cool, you know? And you get to hurt people.
Oh, no.
So, like, when I asked you to teach me, I had already been dabbling and wanting to do tattoos anyway. My son bought me a kit from Amazon, some just random. He was like, yeah, you should do it. And I started doing orange peels and grapefruits and all that stuff like they say do, but it's still not like the skin, right? But I didn't understand how to put the needle and the ink in the skin. Like, I could draw, and then I could see the result of someone else tattooing, but I didn't know how to do it. So that's kind of when I asked you. I was like, man, we doing all this? Teach me everything. And you taught me how to tattoo. And after that, it was just, that was it.
Yeah.
I knew that was it. And it's kind of what I'm doing, man.
That's what you're doing now. So now you spend how many days a week in the tattoo shop?
6.
6, huh?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, man.
Told you to go all in on it, and you
Yeah,
did.
and that's what you got to do. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Like, you can't. Can we cuss? Is that
I
cool?
guess so. It's your show.
I mean, it's our show. We
All right.
producing it, but yeah, shit, you got to go all in. You know what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying? Like, you can't half-ass anything.
Right.
So, like, whatever it is, if you want to be a stripper, like, you got to go all
right.
in. You know what I'm saying? Or if you want to be a baker
Uh-huh.
or whatever. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And like I said, you just can't do it for the money. The money's gonna come.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But like, you just gotta go in at 110%, and that's kind of what I'm doing, man.
Yeah, that's good. I like to use other examples, like if you want to be in the Olympics.
Not stripper.
You know, if you want to be an Olympic runner or an Olympic sport, you know, you can't just walk into the stadium and say, "Hey, yo, I'm here." You know, turn the cameras on. It's gonna take a level of commitment and time in the gym or out in the field, in track and field, or in the track, and to get to that point where you can qualify, to get to the point where you can compete, to get to the point where you can actually travel and then
And
make
win.
yeah, and you have to win. You have to constantly be winning. You can't half-ass it, like you say, and then say, "Well, I'll run every now and then just race." And because I'm in the race, I should be considered a pro now. It doesn't work like that. You're gonna have to put in that time. You're gonna have to put in the commitment and do it for real, as if you were a pro to get to that
Right.
level. So
I always say like there's seasons. Like, you got to take care of yourself, but there's just some seasons you don't sleep. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I don't know. Like, right now, I probably sleep maybe 3 to 4 hours a night. You know what I'm saying? It's just because, you know, one, I want to get better. And I just have to either live at the shop and come home just to eat, sleep, and shower, and then get back up and go right back to the shop.
yeah,
And you've seen it. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it is, bro.
very good. Cool. So today we're gonna focus on that one talent that you've had for how long? When's the first time you started drawing?
Dude,
How old were you? What year was that?
From when I can remember, I was probably like 3 or 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mom would always say, you was better than most of the kids in the class because you had the eyeballs and the mouth in the right spot. You know, as little kids, you kind of just scribble stuff. I guess mine was proper balanced. I don't know, but
It was already in proportion.
yeah, I remember drawing a Godzilla scene. Like, I drew the whole scene of Godzilla fighting Mothra and Rodan, that 3-headed monster.
Okay.
And my babysitter put it on her refrigerator.
Okay.
She was like, "Oh my God!"
Your first fan.
My first fan. And I was so geeked up. But yeah, man, the first memory was probably about 3 or 4 when I drew that picture. And it was just on some regular, you know,
Sheet of paper.
Yeah, nothing fancy or nothing, but
Yeah, my grandson, he's 3 years old. He's already drawn on the wall. It don't look like nothing, but
hey, man,
you drawing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all right.
Y'all gotta scrub them walls now.
All right,
man.
one day. So the blue pencil, when did that come about? How did that become part of your...
Yeah, so like when I first met you, you had seen I was doing it, and I was kind of flip-flopping back and forth with just regular graphite and then blue, but I sat under Brian Stelfreeze.
Very talented guy.
Oh, man, ridiculous. Like, his left pinky probably got more talent than... But I sat under him for probably about 6 months, and I had asked him, I was like, why do y'all use blue pencil? All the, like, he draws in blue pencil, everything, and the other artist that was with him. And it's just the old non-photo blue pencil, right? The penciler, and this is comic industry, the penciler will draw, either he's an inker or he passes it to the inker. They ink over his pencils, and then when they scan it in, that non-photo blue doesn't pick up.
Right.
It just stuck with me. I thought it was a cool color. And that's it, man.
Nice.
Been drawn with that ever since.
Yeah.
And then when I met you and you was like, yo, make that the hook. And that's just, I don't draw with nothing else.
Nothing else.
blue.
That's it.
Yeah.
Forget the other colors.
Yeah, forget the other colors. When I was in school, animators drew in red. You know, like for the 2D, when you flip the paper back and forth so you can see the next movement, they always drew in red and I always drew in blue. And they was like, you should change the red. I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm doing what I want to do. So.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's artists that work in different colors. And a long time ago, I met this artist named W. You know W.
Oh, yeah.
And I looked at his sketchbook, and it had like different color sketches. And I'm like, where do you get these different colors? They're regular pencils, man. Come on, they, you know. but you don't, you know, like when you look
together.
at yeah. And so it's like, oh, you know what? My sketches don't have to be all just black graphite. It can be any color you want it to be. And then as time went on, I realized that comic book artists, they use a lot of blue pencil because of what you said. So that became my process. Like, yeah, I want to be like a pro. I want to draw like a pro. I'm going to start using the pro.
Do what the pros
processes.
do.
Yeah.
Do what the pros do.
Yep. Okay. When we come back, we're going to get started on your thumbnailing or sketching and process. You're going to explain a little bit to us. Right now, you're watching the Blue Lines Project with the Maddpenciler. I am Delta Tango Mike. We'll be right back.
Yo, this is the Maddpenciler, and you're watching the Blue Lines Project. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
We're back with the Blue Lines Project. I am DTM, Delta Tango Mike. We have the Maddpenciler here in the studio. Yay!
To get some sound bites.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. We're going to go ahead and ask the Maddpenciler a little bit about what he's going to be drawing today. So tell us about this Brown Sugar series. What's going on?
So, like, one, I draw a lot of women, right? And I get, every once in a while, somebody be like, oh, can't you draw, like, some men or different things, but I don't give a shit. This is me. You know what I'm saying?
Right, draw what you want.
And
unless they give you money.
Unless they give me money, yeah, and then you draw whatever McDonald's say draw, or Microsoft, you know what I'm saying? But Brown Sugar was just like an accumulation, if I said that right, accumulation of just the stuff I've been practicing daily and just drawing different women and different styles and stuff like that. It's more like a Pam Grier type thing where, you know, what was the show or her character? She was
Foxy
Brown. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a everyday around the way chick, you know, big fro, natural hair, but she's secretly like a secret agent, like James Bond type thing. So that's kind of where it just came up, man. And I been mulling it over and just thinking about different things of, you know, that people hadn't done in a while. And I hadn't seen like just a round away from Harlem, you know what I'm saying? Like you would never think there was like a secret agent kind of nestled in there.
Right.
And, you know, she's like, it was a movie where an older guy was training a young girl to be like an assassin.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of it, but it's kind of in that vein. Like she was trained up at a very young age, and they took her in, and now that's Brown Sugar, man.
So is Brown Sugar going to be one particular character, or you want to make different versions of the character?
It'll probably be one character, but just, you know, her life and what it entails of her struggle, you know what I'm saying, as maybe not having a parents. And we kind of probably need to be taking notes, or you take notes for me, because as we talking, this is kind of like stuff that, like I said, she's not fully developed, but I know she's an assassin and had been, you know, implanted in Harlem for whatever reason. Harlem kind of just stuck with me. And when I say Around the Way Girl, I think of LL Cool J, the song.
Right.
But yeah, That's
So
about it, man.
the first one, or the one I seen that you posted, it was a redhead afro.
Sucking on a lollipop. You know what I'm saying?
Chilling.
Yeah, just chilling.
Got the freckles.
Yep.
All right.
And you wouldn't think, that was a well-trained assassin. She
got that pin-up look where it's like she's striking a pose or something.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the pose that you're looking at today, and what is the plan for the drawing today?
We're going to do a comic cover. One, I always use reference. Like, it'll probably be 98% time that I use reference, and that I always tell artists, like, if you don't use reference, I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep.
And again, it goes back to me sitting with Still Freeze. When I came in there, he had like tons of reference pulled up. He had this was years ago, so he had like physical magazines of different poses, and even if he's just using like the head of one thing and the body of something else. So, and nowadays we got the internet. There's tons of apps and all that stuff you can get for different poses as well. So,
yeah, they are. And you can always ask a friend to hold it.
So
yeah. I mean,
the bottom line. I mean, I got. I don't know what camera I'm looking at, but I got a figure here that I use for, poses and stuff that I can't if I can't get it just right.
Yeah.
And I'll pose that, and I'll get my phone and just take the picture at the right angle. Like if I want a down shot looking up, or if I want vice versa. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I got nephews and nieces. And
you use it all the time.
Yes, I call my brother-in-law and say, "Hey, man, where the kids at today? Can I stop by?" And then I
feed them a burger.
That's right, man. Not for real. I get them $10. Yeah, because they putting in work. Like, hold it right there. Do this, do that.
Yep.
Sit still. And then I'll take lots of pictures. I'll make sure that I have the angles that I want, but also references for that position or whatever. And I've used them for album covers and artwork and comics. Yeah, man. You got to use references wherever you can.
Wherever you can, use it. And so I had pulled up something. I think I'm gonna go with this here. I don't know.
Let's do an overhead and lay it down flat, and we'll just bring it in towards the pencil where the pencil is, and let's take a look at this reference. All right, I like that.
So these are like, some of them you can buy packs of these references. Some of them you can, just find on the internet or whatever. But there's just random. It's like going to life drawing classes, or just the little sessions that you'll do, like a 30-minute, 15-minute, or whatever, and it's just you warming up. You know what I'm saying? But they have these as the same thing. You could time them, or you can just get them and just study it for a little bit and draw from that. So
all right, and so that's one.
And so I'll use this. Just as my base. I'll throw an afro on her, because the brown sugar is African American. Bigger lips, and I'll put the freckles, all that stuff. I'll play around with the outfit a little bit. Maybe add gloves on her, pants. I like the top, so I'll probably keep that because I like the back, the muscle. So I'll use that a lot.
Okay.
And then man.
Do you start with a couple of thumbs to warm up, a thumbnail or
Not
two?
really. I mean, I've been doing this for a minute, so
because you draw at 4 a.m. every morning.
Every morning, and so sometimes I will, like if I'm just in a funk, I'll just kind of circle some stuff out, shapes. But for the most part, man, I just jump in and go.
All right, so let's move it over to the side and let's take a look at how you jump in. I do notice in your morning drawings and when you post little tips, you have a body line, like it's the spine or something.
Center line.
A center line and stuff, and then and you may use some bubbles and so on. But let's take a look. Let's see how the Maddpenciler gets down when it's time to go ahead and draw something.
And I don't draw with glasses on.
You don't draw with glasses on?
I can't, man. I need, like, I don't know if I'm far-sighted or nearsighted, whatever it is, but I need the glasses for, like,
to look at
face? Signs far away. But when I'm close in and drawing details on that stuff, I don't use glasses.
You just jump in.
Yeah.
All right.
So, with the reference, I'll just look at it for like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and maybe we don't have that much time today. But
Look at it.
I've seen this a few times, and knowing we was going to do this today, I kind of looked at it already. So
you didn't try sketching it at all before? No.
No, it's cheating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what I look at when I look at the reference, I'm like you said, I look at the center line, and she has a slight S curve right there.
Yeah, she got the curve.
Yeah. And so, again, since she's African American, I'll add a little more weight to her thighs and her hips, shrink her waist a little bit, and just put me into it. You know what I'm saying? So.
So you got this big long sheet of paper. It's 11 by 17. And do you try to work on your proportions to make sure it fits on the paper?
Yeah, and that's kind of what
that
center line does, and all the bubbles and the shapes and everything. So like, as artists, we already see what the finished product looks like, right? So I know I want her kind of, I don't know. I don't use the whole head methods, but let's say maybe a couple heads down from the top.
Okay.
And she should fit right in there. And if not, I draw light enough to where I don't make a commitment on that line. And if she needs to move, I'll move her wherever. So my thought is the comic cover is her like that, but then like 2 banners with skulls on them, with gunshots. Like she just laid some dudes out or whoever. I don't know the whole story. And then, we could put brown sugar up top here.
Okay, so now you're going to go ahead and get started. Let's see what you do with your sketch. We're going to see the rough.
Yeah,
little
these
bit
are
of the
just
rough.
layouts right now.
Okay,
so,
layout. Layout. Let me write that down.
And so, we got the center line. I'm looking at the reference. Her head here. And lately, I've been doing a lot of just shape drawing, right? I'll have like the neck as a shape by itself, like some weird square triangle type thing. I'm looking at her shoulders, kind of. As I'm looking at the reference, so when I could put it on paper, I'm looking at landmarks, right? So if this is her chin right here, I already could see her shoulder is just slightly above, right? So that's a landmark that I'm looking at to make sure. And it's a drawing, so it's not going to be perfect, right? But it's going to be close enough to me that I like what I'm looking at.
I'm gonna try your process right now. I'm gonna draw it over here on my iPad.
Her shoulders are tilted, so I always look at like the tilt, and if she was turned around, I always tell people like when your shoulders tilt, nipples tilt in the same direction. You don't get the shoulders and then the nipples because then it's all jacked up.
Right.
And it's not nipples with women, just any male or female. Like
if the chest moves with the shoulders.
Exactly. And then
torso,
that's where you can start doing, the hips can tilt a different way. But as long as you got that and you remember it, and so now I'm just drawing shapes. Her arms, waist, hips, and then we got her legs. And so like I don't want the whole body to come to the end, because like I may have like some angle iron or some debris or something like that, and then I'll have like I said, those banners coming. It looks like her arm is like resting on her hip, but it's actually not.
It's kind of has a little bit distance.
There's distance in there, yeah, because you can see the shadow on her butt there.
Nice, I like that. And so you kind of just roughing, a lot of roughing.
Yep. And so even when I was talking about how the shoulders are tilted, your hands tilt. If they're at the same level somewhat, you know what I'm saying? Like you could see slightly that this right hand is lower than that left hand.
Yeah.
So all that stuff I'm thinking about as I'm drawing, like,
I gotta fix my arm.
So for right now, to me, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? I can now kind of go in and start making the adjustments on if something is not right. Like I can already see that shoulder needs to be down just a bit more.
And when you're doing this, you're kind of letting the pencil glide over the paper. You're not pressing down.
I'm not pressing down at all. It's whatever the weight of that pencil is kind of what's guiding me right now.
Letting gravity leave the mark.
Because she's got a big afro, we can kind of throw that in there just as reference right now. And that's it.
Oh, the afro, huh? We can't forget the afro.
Can't forget the afro, man. That's it. That's the whole. That's the hook.
And then and so once you do that, then you're gonna start with the details. At what point do you put the banner when you're doing the details?
I got banner lines right there.
That's enough for now.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Because I may get a banner online and just put it back there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Once you
just because I don't know right now as far as the background. I don't know if I want it to be a real life background or I want to draw it. You know what I'm saying? And that's, you see a lot of artists kind of just getting like a photo stock background and they'll impose it with the art. So I don't know what I want to do right now, but I think I'll probably just draw them in and just like
to place them.
Yeah. Gotcha. And then have bullet holes riddled, like all just around her.
He's already going off.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. That's good.
And just, I'm thinking a little further ahead than what I'm supposed to.
All right, so we're going to be right back to show more of the process and the roughing and the sketching. This is the Blue Lines Project. I am DTM, and we'll be right back. And we're back. Thank you for staying here with us. We have an awesome artist working and showing us his process. He won't put the pencil down for 8 episodes. So hopefully you're here when the artwork is finally complete. My name is Delta Tango Mike. We got the Maddpenciler, and he's drawing and showing us a little bit of his process. So let's go ahead and take a look at how he goes in on the details. And you showed us a little bit of the roughing. You got the banners, and now you're doing the shoulders and the shirt looks like.
Right. So, and the reason, one, I never erase, right? I like the energy of the sketching and the light stuff on the paper. So, like, if you zoom in on some stuff that I've done wherever, you'll see those sketches, those scratch marks still there. You know what I'm saying? Unless it finally gets to digital and then it gets cleaned up. But as far as my pencils, they'll always be sketchy and just messy at first. And so as I'm doing this, I'm looking at my reference again, and I can see where stuff is not lining up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I got where it's supposed to be, but like, so I draw and sketch everything, like down to the shadows and the shapes of the shadows and muscles and all that. And it's still very light. And so I'm just looking, and I see distances from here and here is where that shirt starts to hit. And this is that muscle here, or that shadow. And so I know there's distance from here to where the shirt starts.
Right.
And so I make that distance.
The shadow distance.
Right. And so if I come over here, as I start going up, we start hitting that like that. That arm is not over enough. You know what I'm saying? And now, because it's light enough, I can just kind of put the arm over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not rocket science.
Move your lines again.
Yeah, and still just keep it going. You know what I'm saying? But now it's over where it should be in the right position.
Okay.
I do a lot of imaginary reference points, if you will. So I know where stuff needs to fall and where it needs to hit. And if there's a right amount of distance in between, like her back and the muscles and just different stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is still kind of sketched out light at this point. Like I know her waist wasn't enough, wasn't wide enough. Yeah, mm-hmm. So now I know I can bring that line down and just kind of make it to where it needs to be wide enough.
Okay, so go ahead and go ahead and sketch and draw, and do your thing. I see the arm, the right arm coming in,
mm-hmm.
And so as you cleaning up the sketch, you're still kind of rough. And
sometimes I'll get dark. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes you know that line
feel
is
like
there.
Right. I feel like that's where that needs to be.
Mm-hmm. The line is good there.
Putting it a little heaviness to it.
Uh-huh.
I always make stuff, like especially arms, I'll try and do like a cylinder type thing when I come to a joint.
Uh-huh.
So like if I'm coming down here, I'll just round that off just because I don't know why I do it.
Right.
I can't even sit here and lie to you and be like, yeah, I do it because of that, but I don't know why I do it.
No, that's good because you want to.
I think I've been doing it so long.
Uh-huh.
It's natural for me to do that now.
Mm-hmm. It also helps with when I think what it does is that when you round out ends like that, you kind of feel like you're in that 3D space when you're drawing.
Yeah.
Where if you don't, then it starts to look flat. And a lot of artists do that. They draw the figure, they're looking at a reference, but when they lay down their lines, it starts to look very flat because number one, you don't have any of those round edges. Number two, some lines need to start under another line from another line.
Right.
And then that's when you start getting that depth.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are little techniques that you just use when you're drawing to go ahead and give you that sense, so that when you're drawing, you start filling in the little details with shading, or even the eye can be fooled into thinking
that is 3D.
That's right. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's really good. That's good. All right. So
I don't like her elbow. Like for whatever reason, it looks like it's all jacked up or something.
Uh-huh.
So for me, I'll probably just do my own elbow. But I do like. I think the reason I chose this reference is because I like the shading, the shadow. I guess the way the light hits certain things. Because there's a definite light source coming from her top left, I guess.
Yep.
And then the shadows on the other side. So I will definitely mess with that a lot and dance around in the shadows and all that stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, it's always good. Light sources help shape and get shape the body and gives you depth. So then that way, and that's kind of hard to master without reference.
It is.
It gives you volume, and you need to be able to show it.
And whoever can do it without reference, man,
well,
hats off. You know what I'm saying? And
it takes time.
It takes practice.
You can get there.
And all that,
Yeah. You can definitely get there.
But I ain't trying to do that.
No. Well,
I like looking at reference. I like using reference because it just helps me.
I don't need reference.
You don't need reference?
Not anymore. Bro.
Oh, man.
No, I can draw everything and anything.
Gangster.
But when I was a kid, I used to collect a lot of muscle magazines. I used to work out a lot in those days.
You did?
A long time ago. And so like Schwarzenegger and all these muscle and bodybuilding people in the magazines, you can see all the muscle groups. You can see all the definitions between all the different body parts. And so that's how I learned my anatomy, by looking at these pictures and drawing them out, and noticing how when you have the arm extended, when you have an arm going out this way, it looks the muscle groups, how they look, when
and how they change.
Yes, that's right, because they stretch and they contract depending on the movement. And so then that's how I figured out my anatomy, and I learned where all the muscles are and what they do. So now anybody type, and pose, I can draw it from memory. Yeah, but then that's another part that comes out later is that art style. So that way you can play with the proportions and the way the muscles work with each other. So it doesn't have to be an exact representation of an actual person.
Right.
You know, so it can be whatever you want it to be.
It's your style
right
through there.
But because you're using the reference that you remember practicing all this time, then it's accurate, and the eye is fooled into believing that could be an actual person, because it has the proportions that work with it. But the foundation is always proper anatomy. That's why we always tell artists that they should practice and doing from reference and live drawing.
Got you.
So that they can
so become muscle memory.
Because that's right. It becomes a library in your head, a reference library. Yeah.
And so, even though I'm gonna put an afro on her, I will still lightly draw like the back of her neck and everything, just so it's proportionally correct. Like if I put the afro on there and try and cover the back like hair does when it's that big, if that base is wrong, you're gonna be able to tell something is wrong. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be like, it's cool looking, but something is off, and I don't know what it is. You know, people who aren't artists will be like, it looks right, but I don't know how to tell you to fix it.
Yeah.
So I'll still just draw everything, even her hair sometimes. I probably don't need to do it this time, but again, just so I know it's proportionally correct like it's supposed to be.
Okay. I like it. I'm drawing my version over here, and it reminds me of Ghost in the Shell with her hairstyle.
Oh,
and,
yeah, right.
She's a captain. She's not a captain. What is she? I forgot already. I should look that up.
Isn't she a police officer though?
Yeah, she is. But yeah, that hair. Like Major. She's a major. That's right.
Yeah.
Major. So it's and plus the body type kind of lends to that. Yeah. So let's talk about Brown Sugar a little bit. Like you say, she's an assassin or some kind of undercover agent, chilling and living in the amongst the regular people,
regular folk.
Does she have like superpowers?
No.
Normal human.
Normal human, man.
Okay. Just a lot of training.
Very efficient with weapons.
You ever watch this? It was a show, but it was also a movie. Nikita.
That's what I was trying to think. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember that.
And kind of just set in an urban type field or type thing. And like I said,
La Femme Nikita.
Yeah. And not too many African Americans are portrayed in that type of genre or lifestyle or whatever you want to call it. I think Denzel had a movie, The Equalizer, where he was kind of that type of dude. You wouldn't know, like he'd go to the coffee shop every night, drink coffee and read or something. You wouldn't know that dude.
That's my life. I sit around drinking coffee.
Boy, bye.
No, that's
you don't do an assassination though.
He's just chilling, normal life. Looks like
normal life.
Till you need to get taught a lesson.
Right. And so that's kind of what I want her to be, something like that. And yeah, like I said, it's not fully fleshed out or anything, but just from the drawings that I've been doing daily, and plus my girlfriend's a writer, so I was just thinking of something to do together, I guess. I don't want to do a full comic because that's just way too much work.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out a happy medium. You know what I'm saying? To where if I draw like, just the aftermath of something or her thinking of something, then she could just write however much she wants to write or whatever. So that's still not fully fleshed out either.
Right. Well, it's still a character development right now.
Exactly.
It's more, it can be the focus, and that gets you started on a look, a style, and even work on the background stories first.
Right.
And then figure out how you want to do it, because there's so much media out there, so many different mediums in which you can produce something. And I just recently discovered Comic Pros, which is actually been around for a long time, but Comic Pros, the premise is that it is the comic book, the page has artwork, but it also has a lot of text. So that's the pros part, not PROS, but PROSE. So the comics, and then there's pros, all in that same page.
Interesting.
Yeah, so then that way that can help you not worry about so much sequential art to tell the story, and so you can do some of the sequential art, but also a lot of the text that gives insight into the characters themselves and character development.
Right.
You know, because reading the Godfather book versus watching the movie, you lose a lot. And because it's so much is supposed to be told visually, whereas in the book you're kind of reading it exactly how it
was written.
That's
right.
The thoughts, the motives and emotions and so on. So, Comic Pros is a good, nice little balance that is there.
Nice.
But, and so that's just one aspect of it. But the reality is that there's so much different media out there that you can use to produce any story. We have lots of options, so don't get stuck on any of it. And so that's cool. That's good. Yeah, man. Why not? Try it out. So you did some lines, and don't stop drawing when you answer me, because we want to make sure we can see what you're doing.
Yeah. I'm not.
But
so
you did the lines.
And so, like I was saying with the shoulders, how they tilted,
match them up.
I want everything. Yeah. So like her elbows, one is higher, a little higher than the other, and like I said, the wrist. So. It's just, it needs to be right. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no point in trying to figure it out. It's already figured out. You just make a line, and it doesn't have to be perfect. So, like, I created 2 little dots for her shoulder bones up here.
Yeah.
And then I kind of just moved down and made sure the ruler was somewhat even. I mean.
Yeah, I like to use a lot of circles for the bone joints.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're gonna be right back for the next episode. We're gonna show off a little bit further on this drawing and a cleaner sketch. The Maddpenciler is getting down for a comic book cover featuring Brown Sugar. I don't know if she has an actual name, but Brown Sugar is what we're gonna go with right now. You've been watching the Blue Lines Project. I am Delta Tango Mike. Find me on the internet. Tag me what you work. Let me see what you're working on. And check out the Maddpenciler. MADD. The Maddpenciler. And we'll see you next week. Stay tuned for more. And talk to y'all later. Peace.